Evan Cole walked alone through the thick alien forest, his boots sinking into the soft ground after last night's heavy storm. The morning air was cold, the sky still dark with clouds, and the smell of wet leaves filled the air. Evan was a human ranger on Colony World 47, a place where humans and alien tribes lived with tension and suspicion. He came here every morning to check the forest paths, because storms often caused damage. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then suddenly, a sharp scream tore through the silence. Evan froze. It wasn't a normal cry. It sounded like a small child, and something else, a wild animal. The scream came again, louder, desperate, echoing between the trees. Evan ran toward the river, pushing branches aside, slipping on wet moss, his heart racing faster with every step. Something was wrong, very wrong. When he reached the riverbank, he stopped in shock. The storm had turned the calm river into a raging monster. Water crashed against rocks, swirling in fast circles. In the middle of the chaos, two shapes struggled helplessly. A tiny alien child, no bigger than 6 years old, was being pulled underwater again and again. Her little arms fighting the water. Her skin was pale blue, and her small glowing eyes were wide with fear. Her voice cracked as she screamed for help. Beside her, a large alien leopard-like creature also fought to survive. Its striped fur was soaked, and its claws scraped uselessly at the water. It roared in pain and terror, trying to keep the child above water, even though it could barely keep itself alive. Evan's breath caught. These alien leopards were known to be dangerous. Their claws could tear through metal. Their bite could break bones, and the alien tribe that lived in this forest known as the Jarrah clan believed humans were enemies. Touching their children was forbidden. Helping them was not allowed, but 2 lives were drowning. Evan didn't think. He jumped. The cold water hit him like knives. The river dragged him down instantly, spiraling him toward the main current. He kicked hard, pushing upward, coughing as he broke the surface. The child slipped from his reach, her tiny fingers disappearing under the waves. The leopard crashed into his side, almost knocking him out. He forced himself forward again. "Hold on," he shouted, though he knew they might not understand human language. The child bobbed up for a second. Just enough time for Evan to stretch out his arm. He grabbed her wrist. The river yanked her away, pulling both of them underwater. Darkness swallowed them. Evan felt rocks scraping his back. The water spun him like a leaf. The child clawed at him, suffocating, terrified. With all his strength, Evan swam upward again. He gasped for air as he broke the surface, now holding the child tightly against his chest. But the leopard was still trapped in the current, roaring as the river pulled it toward a deadly dropper waterfall hidden by mist. Without thinking, Evan reached out again. The leopard's claws tore into his arm as he grabbed its fur. Pain stabbed through him, but he didn't let go. The force of the river dragged all 3 toward the waterfall. The sound of crashing water grew louder, like thunder waiting to swallow them. Evan saw a fallen log drifting nearby. With his last strength, he kicked toward it, slammed into it, and hooked his arm around it. The current pulled, twisted, tried to drag them away, but Evan held the log until his muscles screamed. Slowly, painfully, he pushed all 3 toward the riverbank. When they finally reached shallow ground, Evan collapsed, gasping. He laid the child gently on the sand and checked if she was breathing. She coughed water and began to cry softly. Relief washed over him, but then the child whispered something weak and trembling. Something that froze Evan's blood. "They will come. My clan, they will think you hurt me." Evan's eyes widened. Before he could ask anything, the leopard suddenly lifted its head, growled, and looked behind him. A deep, powerful roar echoed through the forest. Not from the leopard, not from the river. From something far bigger. Something coming straight toward them. Evan turned slowly. Dozens of glowing eyes appeared between the trees, and he realized he wasn't alone anymore. Evan slowly rose to his feet. His clothes soaked, his arm bleeding from the leopard's claws, and the sound of heavy footsteps shaking the ground. The forest around him had gone silent to silent. Even the wind seemed to stop, as if afraid of what was coming. The tiny alien child lay weakly on the sand. her breathing soft and shallow. The leopard, still injured, stood protectively near her, growling low at the shadows between the trees. Then the shadows moved. Dozens of tall figures stepped out. Forming a circle around Evan, they wore dark tribal armor made of bone, metal, and glowing threads. Their skin was the same blue shade as the child's, but their eyes burned bright yellow like fire. Each carried a long spear made of crystal, its blade humming with deadly energy. Evan knew exactly who they were. The Jara clan. The most feared alien tribe in this forest. Humans avoided them. They avoided humans. But today, there was no escape. The leader stepped forward. He was massive, almost 7 feet tall, with thick braids decorated with animal teeth. His armor had a scar across the chest, showing he had survived many battles. He raised his spear toward Evan. "Human," he growled, his voice deep and full of rage. "Why is our child in your hands?" Evan lifted his palms slowly. "She fell into the river. I saved her." "That's all," the warriors murmured angrily. Some took a step closer. One pointed his spear at Evan's face. "Lies," he spat. "Humans do not help us." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Where did you touch her? What did you do to her?" Evan swallowed. "I saved her from drowning." "Ask her." But the child was too weak to speak. She looked at the humans entering her vision, then suddenly clung to Evan's leg for support. Every warrior froze. Every spear pointed toward Evan tightened. This was the worst thing that could happen to the Jara. A child touching a stranger meant one thing: fear. And fear meant the stranger was dangerous. Evan stepped back, but the injured leopard blocked him and stood protectively between him and the warriors. That shocked the entire clan. The warriors stared at the leopardan animal that normally attacked humans on sight, now guarding one. "Impossible," one warrior whispered. "Animals never defend humans," another said. "Unless," the leader muttered, narrowing his eyes. He looked at the child again. She tried to speak, but only a weak croak came out. Her small fingers trembled as she reached toward the leader. Evan gently nudged her forward, but the child held onto his shirt with surprising strength. The leader's anger deepened. "Our royal child reaches for a human. Why?" Evan took a step back. "I think she's scared. Please, let a healer check her. She needs help." The warriors surrounded them tightly. One warrior moved to grab the child, but the leopard snapped its jaws dangerously, warning him to stay away. "What is wrong with this creature?" the warrior hissed. "It should attack him, not protect him. It is cursed," another muttered. The leader raised a hand. Everyone went silent. "Take them," he ordered. All 3. To the camp, Evan's heart pounded. He didn't know if that meant safety or punishment. 2 warriors grabbed his arms roughly. The leopard snarled, but another warrior used a glowing rope to bind it. Even then, it refused to take its eyes off Evan. The child was lifted gently by a female warrior, who checked her breathing and nodded. "She is alive, but weak." As the clan marched through the forest, Evan noticed the warriors glancing at him again and again, some with anger, some with confusion, some with hatred. The air felt heavy, thick with suspicion. They reached the Jara settlement soon. Huge wooden walls, shaped like jagged teeth, surrounded the village. Inside were stone huts, fire pits, and banners made from the skins of ancient beasts. The people stopped and stared at the human being dragged through their home. Children hid behind their mothers. Elders whispered warnings. Evan felt small, alone, but he reminded himself why he was here. The child. He had saved her life. Surely they must listen. The warriors brought him to a large central hut, the trial hall. Torches lit the inside, casting long shadows on the ground. The leader stood in front of him. "Human," he said coldly, "step forward." Evan did. "This is the royal child of the Jara clan," the leader continued. "If what you say is false, if you harmed her, your life is forfeit." Evan took a deep breath, then let her speak. She knows the truth. But just as the child opened her mouth to speak, a loud voice cut through the hall. "No." Everyone turned. A tall male warrior stepped forward, his eyes burning with hatred. "Humans are liars," he said. "This man is dangerous. He must be punished before he poisons our clan. Evan stared at him, and felt the first true wave of danger. Because this warrior wasn't just angry, he wanted Evan dead. Inside the trial hall, the air felt heavy, almost suffocating. Torches burned low along the walls, their flames dancing in strange patterns as if reacting to the tension inside the room. Evan stood alone in the center, surrounded by dozens of hostile alien warriors. His clothes were still wet from the river. His arm throbbed from the leopard's claws. But none of that scared him as much as the cold. Hatred in the warrior's voice who accused him. The angry warrior stepped forward. His name, whispered between other warriors, was Kavron, one of the clan's strongest fighters. His armor was covered with dark stripes of paint, symbols of battles fought and won. His stare cut through the hall like a blade. "Your arrival here is no accident," Kavron said. "A human near our royal child. Unbelievable, suspicious, dangerous." Evan raised his hands calmly. "I didn't come for her. I was patrolling the forest. I heard her scream. I saved her lies." Kavron barked. The warriors around him banged their spears on the ground in agreement. The sound echoed like thunder. But then the tiny alien child whimpered softly from the healer's arms. Her weak voice broke the tension for a moment. She tried to speak again, her eyes struggling to open. The healer knelt beside her. "Little one, do not push yourself. You are too weak." But the child pointed a trembling finger at Evan. The hall went silent. The clan leader, Chief Rakor, stepped closer. His towering figure cast a long shadow over Evan. His voice rumbled like distant mountains. "Royal child, speak. Tell us who saved you." The girl took a deep breath. Her voice was small, but clear. "The water pulled me," she whispered. "I couldn't breathe. I fell. The river took me. The leopard tried to help." She paused, coughing weakly. Evan waited, praying she would finish, and then the child continued slowly. "The human, he jumped. He saved us. Both of us." Her glowing eyes rested on Evan. "He protected me." A wave of shock moved through the hall. Warriors exchanged uneasy glances. Even Chief Rakor hesitated, his massive hand tightening on his spear. But Kavron did not accept it. "She is confused," he shouted. "She nearly drowned. She does not understand what she saw." The leopard suddenly growled loudly from the side of the hall, still bound by the glowing rope. The growl was sharp, warning, almost angry. It stared directly at Kavron, teeth bared. "Even the creature protects him," Chief Rakor said slowly. "Why?" Kavron's expression twisted in frustration. "Animals have no minds. Their behavior means nothing." Evan spoke quietly. "I saved it too. It fought to save the child. I couldn't leave it behind." Some warriors looked surprised and confused. A human saving an alien animal? A human risking his life for a child not his own. That did not fit their beliefs. It challenged everything they thought they knew about humans. Chief Rakor raised his hand for silence. "We will not decide with noise. The truth circle begins now." Warriors stepped back, forming a ring around Evan. The glowing crystals on the floor hummed as the leader placed his spear into the center. A strange blue light lifted from the ground, swirling around Evan's legs. Evan felt his heart pound. "What is that?" he asked. "The truth stone," a healer whispered. "If your words are false, the light will turn red, and the trial ends with your death." Evan closed his eyes for 1 second. He had nothing to hide. He spoke calmly, clearly, letting each word fall slowly into the silent hall. "I heard the child scream. I ran. I saw her drowning. I saved her. I saved the leopard too. That is the truth." The blue light flickered. Warriors leaned forward. Kavron tightened his grip on his spear, ready to strike at the first hint of red. But instead, the light glowed brighter. Blue, pure blue. It wrapped around Evan like a calm wave. Gasps filled the hall. Chief Rakor stepped closer, eyes widening. "The stone accepts your truth." Kavron's face twisted with fury. He slammed his spear against the ground. "No. This human is dangerous. He brings weakness. Letting him live will bring disaster. Evan stared at the warrior. There was something deeper in Kavran's hatred, something personal. This wasn't just anger toward humans. It was something darker. Before Chief Rakor could speak, an elder rushed into the hall, breathless. "Chief," she cried, "the rival Vaku clan. They are moving through the forest. They know the royal child is injured." A chill moved through the hall, and in that moment, Evan understood. The danger was not from the Jara clan, it was approaching from outside, and it was coming fast. The trial hall emptied quickly after the elder delivered her warning. Warriors rushed outside, preparing weapons and lighting signal fires. The news of the Vaku clan, their oldest enemies traveling near the forest, meant danger for everyone. Especially the royal child. Evan stood alone for a moment, confused and tense. He had no idea what the Vaku wanted, but he could see fear on the Jara faces. Fear always meant something big. The bound alien leopard let out a low growl. It struggled against the glowing rope again, trying to stand. Its golden eyes stayed locked on Evan, not with anger, but with something strange, something protective. Chief Rakor noticed this and approached the creature. "Why does this beast behave so?" he muttered. "These creatures attack humans. They do not guard them." Evan slowly stepped closer. "Because I pulled it from the water. It tried to save the child. I couldn't let it die." The chief watched him with a puzzled expression. "Humans rarely risk themselves for our kind," he said quietly. "Maybe you don't know all humans," Evan replied. Before the chief could respond, the healer carrying the tiny royal child entered. The little girl was awake now, her eyes soft and tired. She pointed toward the leopard. The healer gently placed her beside it, to everyone's shock. The leopard immediately lowered its head, nudging the child with great care. The child giggled weakly and placed her small hands on the creature's forehead. The warmth in her touch seemed to calm the leopard completely. The warriors watching whispered among themselves. "It listens to the girl. It protects the human. This is unnatural. No. This is a sign." Kavran stepped in, his voice filled with bitterness. "A sign of weakness," he spat. "The creature is confused. It should have torn the human apart." But Chief Rakor frowned. "No. This bond. This is rare. Animals do not choose randomly." He crouched beside the leopard. "Creature," he said softly, "why do you guard the human?" The leopard slowly turned its head, and placed its giant paw gently on Evan's boot. The hall gasped. Even the child blinked in surprise. Kavran's face twisted in anger. "This means nothing. The beast is injured." Confused, Chief Rakor raised his hand sharply. "Enough. The bond is real. And it means something." He stood tall and looked around. "In our history," he said slowly, "a creature bonding with a human happens only when the human saves its life with pure intent. Only when there is no fear, no selfishness." He turned to Evan. "You did not save it to gain favor. You acted with instinct. With courage." Kavran history. "He is still a human. We cannot trust him." At that moment, the leopard lunged not to attack Evan, to attack Kavran. The rope snapped under the creature's sudden strength. Warriors jumped back, raising spears. But the leopard didn't care. It charged at Kavran with teeth bared. Kavran barely managed to dodge as the creature skidded across the floor, sending sparks flying from its claws. The chief stepped between them quickly. "Hold it," he commanded. The leopard stopped, instantly panting, shaking, but refusing to take its eyes off Kavran. The tension was sharp as a blade. Chief Rakor turned to Kavran. "It seems the creature senses something in you." Kavran glared at the leopard, at Evan, at the royal child. His voice was cold. "You all trust a beast more than a warrior. You trust a human more than your own clan." He stormed out of the hall, pushing warriors aside. The chief sighed deeply. "He is loyal, but his anger troubles me." Evan watched him go. He felt a strange chill. Kavran wasn't just angry, he seemed desperate, dangerous. Outside, horns blew loudly. Vaku clan scouts had been spotted near the forest edge. The Jara clan prepared for defense. Inside the hall, the healer tried to carry the child away, but she reached again for Evan's hand. Her small fingers curled around his. She is choosing him. The healer whispered with disbelief. And then Chief Rekor said something that shocked even Evan. From now on, human, you stay with her. The leopard trusts you. The child trusts you. And in times of danger, instinct matters more than blood. Evan stared at him. You want me to protect her? Yes, the chief said. Until the threat passes, Evan nodded slowly. The leopard moved beside him, gently brushing against his leg, like a silent promise. For the first time, Evan felt something shift in the clan's eyes. Not complete trust, not acceptance, but something close to respect. Yet none of them knew that trouble was much closer than the Vaku clan. Someone inside the Jarrah camp was already planning betrayal, and that someone was watching Evan very closely. Night fell over the Jarrah village like a blanket of shadows. Torches flickered along the wooden walls, and warriors patrolled the gates with tense faces. Everyone knew the Vaku clan could attack at any moment. The air smelled of smoke, fear, and rain from the storm earlier. Inside the healer's hut, Evan sat on the floor beside the tiny alien child. She rested on a soft bed of leaves, her breathing calmer now. The alien leopard curled up near the door, its golden eyes watching everything, especially Evan. It was strange, Evan thought, being trusted by a creature that should hate him. But the trust made him feel responsible more than he expected. The healer whispered, "She will wake soon. Stay close. She feels safest with you." Evan nodded. "I won't go anywhere." He didn't realize how soon he'd need to keep that promise. Hours passed. The child slept peacefully. The camp outside grew quieter. Warriors returned tired from patrol. The fires grew dim. Evan closed his eyes for a moment. Just a moment, then a twig cracked outside the hut. The leopard lifted its head, instantly. Growl low warning. Evan opened his eyes, alert. He slowly stood up, moving carefully so he wouldn't wake the child. He approached the hut entrance and peeked outside. No one. Nothing but shadows between the huts. Maybe just the wind. Evan whispered. The leopard growled louder. And then Evan saw it. A dark shape moving quickly between the huts. Eyes glinting. Footsteps, silent. Whoever it was, they weren't Vaku. This person knew the camp too well. Evan followed quietly, signaling the leopard to stay with the child. The figure slipped behind a storage hut. Evan moved closer, staying low. Using the shadows to hide. The figure bent down near a trapdoor leading to the underground food storage. It whispered something in a language Evan didn't recognize. Then pulled out a strange device shaped like a sharp bone. Evan stepped out. "Hey, stop." The figure spun around. It was Kavaron. Evan felt a shock run through him. "You, what are you doing?" Kavaron's face twisted with pure hatred. "You should have drowned today." Evan frowned. "You're sneaking around your own camp in the dark. Why? What are you planning?" Kavaron stepped forward. "The Jarrah clan is strong, pure. It does not need humans. It does not need weak creatures who bond with humans. The royal child was a symbol of our future strength. Until you touched her." Evan's eyes widened. "Are you saying you want harm to come to her?" Kavaron raised the bone-like device, its blade glowing red. "I am saying you ruined everything. The child was supposed to be taken by the Vaku clan tonight. They were waiting." Evan's heart almost stopped. You're working with them?" Kavaron smiled coldly. "To make the clan stronger. Only war makes us powerful. Peace with humans is poison. Fear keeps us alive." Evan took a step back, realizing the truth. Kavaron had set up everything. He was the one who led the child near the river. He was the reason she fell. He wanted the Vaku to grab her. He wanted humans blamed. "You tried to drown her," Evan whispered. "You let the leopard follow her into danger. You wanted the Vaku to find her." Kavaron shrugged, and it almost worked. Until you interfered. He lunged forward with the glowing blade. Evan dodged, barely missing the strike. Kavaron slashed again, fast and furious. Evan grabbed a wooden pole from the ground and blocked another strike. The sound echoing in the silent night. "You betray your own people," Evan shouted. I protect them from weakness. Caveron roared. Another swing. Evan ducked. Caveron kicked him hard in the chest, knocking him to the ground. The blade rose above Evan's throat. Before Caveron could strike, a violent roar filled the air. The leopard sprinted out of the darkness, slamming into Caveron with incredible force. The warrior flew back, crashing against the hut wall. The blade dropped from his hand. Caveron scrambled up, bleeding, shocked. "You filthy beast!" The leopard bared its fangs, growling deep. Behind them, the tiny royal child stood at the hut entrance, half awake, her small body swaying. She looked at Evan, then at Kav Randot. Her voice came out soft but firm. "Don't hurt him." Caveron froze. Evan froze. Even the leopard stilled. Her glowing eyes focused on Evan with trust, then turned cold toward Caveron. Chief Raykor suddenly arrived with several warriors. They saw enough. Caveron was seized and thrown to the ground. "Traitor," the chief said, voice shaking with anger. Caveron glared at Evan as he was dragged away. "This isn't over. Humans bring ruin." But Evan wasn't listening anymore. The child ran toward him and hugged him tightly. The leopard sat beside them, both guardian of them both. Evan held the child gently, realizing something important. The real enemy wasn't the Vaku clan. It had been inside the Jara family all along. The village was awake long before sunrise. Torches burned bright. Warriors spoke in worried whispers. The hunt for Caveron's secret allies had begun, but Chief Raykor feared the truth. The Vaku clan would not wait long. They were coming. Evan stood near the healer's hut with the tiny Alayan child beside him, and the leopard watching like a silent guardian. The child held Evan's hand tightly, her small fingers wrapped around his as if they had known each other for years. The chief approached them. His expression was serious, heavy with responsibility. "Human," he said, "because of your courage, we uncovered a traitor. But now, the enemy knows our child lives. They will come tonight, maybe sooner." Evan nodded. "Then I'll help defend her." The chief frowned. "You are not one of us." "But she trusts me," Evan said softly. The child stepped forward, looked at her chief, and nodded. That one small gesture changed everything. Raykor placed his large hand on Evan's shoulder. "Then today, you stand with the Jara." The words carried weight. Some warriors looked uncertain, others angry, but no one challenged the chief's decision. As the sun rose, warriors prepared for battle. Crystal spears hummed with energy. Armor plates clicked together. Young fighters took positions on the walls. Even the elders gathered sharp stones and arrows in case the defensive line broke. Evan helped where he could, building barricades, carrying stones, reinforcing the main gate. The leopard followed him everywhere, growling at anyone who came too close with suspicion. People no longer looked at Evan with fear. They looked at him with curiosity, and slowly, respect. But the tension only grew stronger. By afternoon, the forest fell silent again, too silent. The birds stopped singing. The wind stopped blowing. Even the river seemed to flow more quietly. Every warrior sensed it. The Vaku clan was near. The attack came just as the sky turned purple. A horn blew from the tree line. Warriors on the walls shouted warnings. Shapes moved between the trees, dark, fast, aggressive. The Vaku clan warriors burst out with terrifying speed, their dark red armor shining under torchlight, their weapons glowing with wildfire energy. They roared as they charged. The Jara warriors met them with equal fury. The clash was loud, violent, and chaotic. Sparks flew, crystals cracked, spears shattered. Evan pulled the child behind a stone barrier. The leopard stood in front of her, fangs out, ready to fight beside him. But things got worse. A massive beast of Vaku war animal charged toward the gate. It stood taller than any warrior, its horns glowing red, steam rising from its nostrils. The creature smashed against the wooden gate, splintering it. The Jara warriors panicked. "It will break the gate. We cannot hold it. Fall back." Chief Raykor tried to hold his soldiers steady. But the beast was too powerful. Evan saw what would happen next if the beast broke through. The child would be the first to die. He couldn't let that happen. He jumped over the barrier, grabbing a fallen spear from the ground. Evan? The healer screamed. The child cried out, "No!" But Evan didn't stop. He ran straight toward the charging beast. The Jera warriors stared in disbelief. Humans weren't supposed to fight like this. Humans escaped danger. Humans survived, not protected alien children. But Evan ran anyway. The beast lowered its horns. Its hooves cracked the earth with every step. A single strike would crush Evan. He didn't care at the last moment. Evan slid under the beast's head, rolling across the ground. He thrust the spear upward with all his strength. The spear struck deep under the beast's jaw. The creature roared in pain, stumbled, and smashed sideways into a stone pillar. The impact shook the ground. But the beast wasn't dead. It wasn't even close. It turned toward Evan again, anger blazing. Evan braced himself. Before the beast could strike, the leopard leaped onto its back with insane courage. Its claws dug deep, tearing at the creature's throat. The beast bucked, twisted, and howled. But the leopard held on with wild strength. Evan grabbed another spear from the ground and charged again. With a powerful thrust, he drove the spear into the beast's chest. This time, the creature collapsed. Silence swept across the battlefield for a moment. The Jiraiya clan stared at the human who had just saved their entire village. Their faces changed from fear to shock to deep respect. Chief Rikor stepped forward, voice thick with emotion. "You fought like one of us," he said. "No, you fought beyond us." The child ran to Evan, hugging him tightly around the waist. The leopard limped beside them, pressing its head against Evan's leg. Evan smiled weakly. "I couldn't let anything happen to her." Rikor nodded slowly. "You saved our child. You saved our clan." But the battle wasn't over yet. On the forest ridge, more Vaku warriors gathered. And behind them, something even larger moved. Something worse, something that would decide everything. The battlefield glowed with dying fire sparks as Evan stood beside the fallen Vaku beast. Breathing hard, his clothes torn, his arm bleeding, and sweat dripping down his face. The alien leopard limped back to the child. Its fur dripping with blood, but its eyes still sharp and loyal. For a moment, the village was silent to silent. Every warrior watched Evan, unable to believe the truth their eyes had seen. A human had saved them all. But the silence didn't last. A deep, earth-shaking thud echoed from the forest ridge. Then another. And another. The remaining Vaku warriors parted like fearful children as something huge stepped into the fading light. It was a Vaku war Titana. Creature so rare that even the Jara clan treated it like a myth. Nearly 20 feet tall, covered in dark bone armor, with burning red eyes and tusks pointing forward like spears. Each step made the ground tremble. Fire dripped from its mouth as it roared at the sky. The Jara warriors backed away. "No. Not this beast. We can't defeat that. We must retreat." Chief Rikor gripped his spear tightly, but even he stepped back. This is not a battle meant for us." Evan stood between the Titan and the clan, his heart pounding. He knew he couldn't defeat that monster. He knew he might die. But behind him, the child clung to the leopard. The clan stood frozen in fear. Everyone he had fought to protect would die if the Titan reached them. Evan wiped the blood from his face. His voice shook, but he forced it out. "I won't let it pass." The warrior stared at him, as if he had lost his mind. A human challenging a Titan? Impossible. Chief Rikor stepped closer. "Human, fall back. You have done enough." Evan shook his head slowly. "Not until they're safe." The Titan roared and charged. Evan grabbed 2 crystal spears from the ground and ran forward. The earth shook under the Titan's weight. Its fire breath lit the air with flames. Evan dove aside, narrowly avoiding being crushed. The heat burned his skin, but he stood again. The Titan turned, eyes locked on him, no angry that a tiny creature dared to challenge it. Evan charged again. This time, he threw one spear with all his strength. The spear hit the Titan's shoulder and shattered. Barely a scratch. The Titan swung its massive arm, Evan flew across the ground, crashing into a stone barrier. Pain exploded in his ribs. His vision blurred. The world tilted. But then a roar answered the Titans. The Leopard, despite its wounds, it sprinted toward the Titan with incredible courage. It leaped, claws slashing at the Titan's face. The Titan staggered, surprised by the attack. The Leopard climbed higher, tearing, biting, fighting with wild strength. "Go back," Evan shouted hoarsely. "You'll die." But the Leopard didn't stop. The child screamed, "No," as the Titan swatted the Leopard with brutal force, sending it crashing to the ground. The creature lay still, struggling to breathe. Something inside Evan snapped. He picked up the last spear. His hands shook, not from fear but from fury. No more running. No more watching. No more losing. He sprinted toward the Titan, right toward its open jaws. The Jara warriors gasped. Chief Ricor moved to run after him but stopped. Because the child spoke, "Let him go," she whispered. "He is fighting for us." Evan slid under the Titan's strike, rolled, and thrust the spear deep into the soft place under its jaw. The Titan roared in pain, fire bursting from its mouth. Evan held on as the creature shook violently, trying to throw him off. "Come on," Evan shouted through clenched teeth. Fall. With the last of his strength, he drove the spear deeper. The Titan stumbled, roared, collapsed like a falling mountain. The ground shook as its giant body hit the earth. Then silence. Slowly, Evan pushed himself up, coughing, exhausted, bleeding. The Titan lay dead behind him. He expected fear. Maybe confusion. Maybe anger. Instead, the entire Jara clan dropped to one knee. Chief Ricor stepped forward, his voice shaking with emotion. "Human, today, you became more than a protector. You became family to our clan." The tiny alien child ran to Evan and hugged him tightly, tears glowing in her eyes. "You saved me, and you saved us all." The Leopard crawled to Evan, placing its head in his lap. Evan stroked its fur gently. Chief Ricor placed his hand over his chest and bowed deeply. "From this day," he said, "the Jara clan owes you an eternal debt. We will stand by you, fight for you, and protect you. As you protected us," all the warriors repeated in one powerful voice. "We protect the human." Evan looked at them tired, bruised, but proud. He never came to this forest for glory. He never came to be a hero. He simply heard a child scream, and chose to save her. But that choice changed everything, and in that moment, surrounded by an alien clan kneeling before him, Evan Cole realized something he never expected. On this strange world, he had found a new family.